It is almost time for the Trans Rights Readathon, a time for us as the book community to collectively share and promote books by and about trans, non-binary, gender fluid, gender non-conforming, two-spirit, everyone who identifies under that umbrella, narrators, authors, characters, just everyone. So I thought it'd be fun to go over my TBR that I will be reading for this readathon. Hi besties, welcome back to my channel. Like I said, this video is going to be my Trans Rights Readathon TBR, but I have a highlight over on my Instagram page if you are just now hearing about this or if you want to build out your own TBR, and that highlight has a lot of book recs from the readathon last year, the year before that, and overall just books that I recommend and love. I will also be sharing more book recs this year over on my Instagram as well as here on my YouTube channel. And of course there's going to be a lot of sci-fi and fantasy books because that is my literal favorite genre, as well as some novellas because I have read a lot of novellas over the years. That would actually be great as part of a readathon like this. I actually love reading novellas during a readathon because in my mind a readathon is like you want to read as many books as you possibly can during whatever that time frame is, and so novellas are like a perfect way to do that, you know? Anyways, my TBR this year is going to be a mix of like sci-fi, fantasy, and horror. I'm not really in too much of a lit fic or romance mood right now, and I don't want to set myself up for failure, so the books that I'm going to be reading, or at least adding to my list, are books that I am feeling very much like in the mood for right now. So for the sci-fi and fantasy books that I was going to read, I've actually already read the first one because my audiobook, Libby Hold, came in like way earlier than it said it was going to, and that is The Stars Too Fondly by Emily Hamilton. And this actually has a trans main character and a non-binary main character, but the two main like love interest is sapphic. I already listened to it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a very fun and lighthearted sci-fi book, like as much as sci-fi can be. There's tons of queer rep, there's found family in it, which I just absolutely loved, and the main characters are actually all in like their upper 20s, so it was nice and refreshing to read a sci-fi book that had people like my age, because I feel like, you know, for books it's usually like 18-year-olds or it's like older people who are like on the they've saved the world and now they have to save the world again, you know. But the romance was actually between the female main character and like this AI that is sort of the AI, but also like not really, because it's the what is it? It's like the brain or like the consciousness of someone who was on the ship before. So it's like sort of an AI model of this person, but also like not. I don't know. It was weird. It was really weird, but it worked. The next book I'm going to read that I got from my library was Metal from Heaven by August Clarke, and the synopsis is pulling me in like so much. The synopsis is a bloody lesbian revenge tale and political fantasy set in a glittering world transformed by industrial change and simmering class warfare. That sounds so good. I know that there's like labor politics or, you know, a lot of like corporations and capitalism and corporate greed and generally just like the grind that is expected of the working class under capitalism and just everything that is so prominent under capitalism, and especially things that like Americans are facing like today. But the main character is embodying like this visceral lesbian rage to get revenge against the people and the institutions who control and oppress like the lower class. And I'm so excited for it. I've heard great things, and I actually thought it was a series and I was going to wait until the series was completed, but I was mixing that up with a different series. So someone actually left me a comment and was like, hey girl, you're wrong, it's a standalone. And I'm like, no, sick, I'm reading this like right now. And this book fits into the readathon because the author themselves are non-binary and there are also some gender fluid characters within this book. Another book that I'm picking up by a non-binary author is The Genesis of Misery by Neon Yang, and I've actually read quite a few of their books before, but this one is a retelling, and specifically the Joan of Arc retelling, but in like a sci-fi setting, and that sounds so interesting to me. Like, I'm actually so excited for this. I've read a few of their books before. Brighter Than Scale, Swifter Than Flame, I think I read this time last year, and I really enjoyed that book. And then there is also a novella series that they have, the Tessnerate series, I think that's what it's called. I didn't enjoy those ones too much, but those are definitely more like fantasy heavy as opposed to sci-fi heavy, so it's just kind of like, you know, whatever you're feeling. But I still recommend, you know, the fantasy heavy novellas, which that will actually be one of the books that I'm recommending in later videos that I'll be posting. A lot of my mutuals really like them, so I think a lot of people would enjoy them. They just maybe weren't specifically for me at that time. Anyways, The Genesis of Misery. Like I said, this is a reimagining of the Joan of Arc story in like a sci-fi setting, and I actually have an audiobook of it, so I'm very excited to listen to it with my ears. There are a lot of queer characters, and with this being a space opera, there's a lot of high-tech mechs, a lot of political intrigue, and honestly, like everything that I think I need right now in a sci-fi book, even though I read so much sci-fi, but you know, a space opera is like different than other sci-fi books. So I'm very excited to get to this one. The next book on my TBR is one that's actually been on my TBR for quite some time and on my bookshelf. It is a YA urban fantasy as I understand it, but it is The Black Veins by Ashia Monet. This book follows this like ragtag team of powerful teenage magicians who band together to go on this cross-country road trip because one of the people in this group, their parents are like abducted and kidnapped. So while on the way, they just like, you know, have to save the world as teenagers have to do. But this has been one book that I have been, well, not reluctant to read, but this is another one that I've heard is supposed to be a series, but I haven't heard like a release date or anything about a book 2. So I think I'm just gonna read this as like book 1 and see if it actually leaves off as a cliffhanger. What the vibes are, I don't know. The cover is very, very interesting to me, and this year I'm just like, you know what, I'm just gonna read it. I'm not gonna wait any longer because, yeah, sometimes YA fantasy, sometimes you just need a YA fantasy book, and so this is my YA and fantasy book of this readathon. The last book on like my hard TBR is what I'm calling these like 3 or 4 books is Model Home by Rivers Solomon, because I see this book at my library every single time that I go and I just have never picked it up. And I'm like, Emily, you're picking it up this week. This is going to be your novella to read during this readathon. You are picking it up. And I've actually read a few other books by this author. I've read The Deep. Actually, I think that might be the only book that I've read by Solomon, but I really enjoyed The Deep. The Deep is one that I'm also going to be including in my novellas book recs because this is like a kind of, well, the main character is a mermaid and it's just a very interesting story. So I'm really excited to get to this one. This one is a little bit different than The Deep, wherein this is more of like a paranormal psychological thriller horror book, wherein the horror aspect and thriller aspect is like a haunted house, but the haunted house is more so about, how do I put this? It's like commentary on racism in America by way of haunted house. So yeah, that sounds really interesting to me. So this book follows 3 siblings who are forced to return to their childhood home because their 2 parents are murdered. Or I don't know if they're murdered or if they just die. But anyways, they have to figure out like what happened to them, and that's where the haunted house comes in, and you know, all of that. These are all the books on my hard TBR, and my hard TBR is just books that I really, really, really want to get to, and I'm going to make an effort to actually finish during this readathon. I think 3-4 books is doable for me, but these next few books are books that are on my soft TBR that I would really like to get to. Maybe if I like really lock in this week, or actually it's like a 2-week readathon. If I really like lock in and read these books, I could get to more. So that's what this soft TBR is. And then towards the end, I also have like some books that realistically I probably won't get to during this readathon, and they're not on my hard TBR or my soft TBR. It's just books that are generally on my TBR that I wanted to highlight in this video because there's just like so many good books out there, and I hope one person takes a book recommendation from this video. The next book is actually an audiobook that I have from Makana Yamamoto, and I've never read their first book. I can't remember what it's called, but like everybody was raving about it. But I actually am a part of Libro FM's ALC program, which is Advanced Listening Copy, and their book came out, I think last month or in March, either in February or March, because those are the only 2 months that I've been a part of the program. But I have this book, and this is another, you know, cyberpunk sci-fi novel that I'm really excited to get to. So the book is called Obake Code or Obake Code. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it follows our main character who is pulled into like this, I don't know, heist against this like very popular politician. She basically is just like battling this rogue AI. And if you know anything about me, you know that I despise AI. So I'm going to be rooting for the main character to fuck that AI up. But overall, I think having another audiobook on my list is going to be great because I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks lately. And remember how I was saying earlier in this video where like the main characters are either like 18-year-olds or they're like older main characters who have saved the world and have to like do it again. Well, this main character has saved the world and now this is like the aftermath, and now she has to like go on another quest again to, I don't know, maybe save the world. We'll see. I don't know much about this. Honestly, the cover drew me in, so we'll see how it is. I'm sure I'm gonna love it because, again, love sci-fi. So I will be going to the library to get Model Home probably, I don't know if today or tomorrow, but I know that I have like no control whenever I'm at the library because I end up just browsing the shelves, and it's just so easy to pick up books off of the shelf because they're like free. You can just get them for free. So like my brain is like, let's get as much as we can for free to like get our money's worth. But there's like no money involved in the library. It's just like, that's how my brain works. I just always get so many books from the library every time I go. That's all to say, I know my book has a lot of books by Andrew Joseph White and also Becky Chambers, and both of them are authors that fit under this umbrella that we are reading and promoting during the Trans Rights Readathon, so I probably will get more of their books. It just depends if there's like, how do I put this? I have read a couple Becky Chambers books before. I really want to read The Long Way Home, The Angry Planet Long Way Home. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but I really want to read that one because I think that's just a very lighthearted book, which is another novella and would be really good to add to this readathon. So if they have a couple books from that series, I probably will pick those up. As far as Andrew Joseph White, I have read You Weren't Meant to Be Human and Hell Followed With Us, both of those. Fantastic. If you like body horror, like, fantastic. Those books, fantastic. Have solidified him as an auto-buy author to me. So I think I'm going to try to see if they have Compound Fracture or The Spirit Bears His Teeth, because I haven't read either one of those yet. Yeah, but I hope they're there. I've seen them before, so I hope they're still there. And if anyone has them, please bring them to my house. Thank you. And then the last book on my soft TBR is actually a book that I'm reading for one of my book clubs, Winter's Orbit. And I literally just learned last night that this book could fit into the Trans Rights Readathon, I guess, theme, because the world that Winter's Orbit is set in, it's just very gender fluid and normalized. I don't know if any of the main characters are non-binary, but I know that this is a duology, and my library does have book 1, which I also have book 1 on my bookshelf, but they also have book 2 at the library. At least the last time I went. So I might also just pick that one up, you know, just in case I read Winter's Orbit and I really need the next book. Okay, those are all the books that are on my soft TBR now. It's so possible that I'm going to lock in and read all of these books. Probably not, but I think it's totally fine to have different types of TBRs. And I think it's also okay if you just like don't stick to your TBR at all, because like reading is supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to feel like a chore and like you have to do all of these things. You have to read all these books that you've set for yourself. If you don't get to them, if you don't feel like it, like, so I'm very lax with my TBRs. That's why I don't typically have monthly TBRs, because I don't know how I'm going to be feeling in 2 weeks, you know. But I think for readathons like this, where there is a set time frame and there is a goal in mind, which is, you know, promoting and talking about and reviewing and all of the things about all of the authors and characters that I have previously mentioned, this is like one of the only times that I do set a TBR for myself. So that's why I'm so excited. I'm really excited to get to a lot of these books too. So the 3 books that I'm probably not going to get to for this readathon, but books that are like pretty high on my TBR that I would like to get to this year. Number 1 is Volatile Memory by Seth Hayden. I think it's Hayden. This is a duology, and I think both of these are actually novellas as well. I have no idea what this book is about. I'm purely judging this based off the cover, and the cover looks so good. So yeah, we'll see. If I need another novella, I might pick it up. I don't know. But these are 2 that I do really want to get to. They're, I know sci-fi, and that's literally all that I know about it. Another book that I'm judging purely based on its cover is Manhunt by Gretchen Thieker Martin. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. This book I have downloaded on my Kindle probably like 3 times. And my loan keeps on running out. But this time I downloaded it and my Kindle was on airplane mode. So I will be reading it. Maybe not in March, but yes, in April. Again, no idea what this book is about. I think it has horror vibes. I'm really excited to get to it. And I lied, I actually have 2 more books that I want to get to. The first one is World Running Down by Al Hess. This book, I actually got this book rec from Reddit. I've never heard of this book before. There was like a Reddit thread that was like, what's your, you know, trans rights readathon? Or what books do you have book recommendations that have like trans main characters? It was like very broad. And there were so many people who recommended this book. I was like, no idea what it's about, but it's going on my TBR. I think this one is also sci-fi because it was under the sci-fi, subreddit? I don't know. I think it's called subreddit, right? So there's under the sci-fi subreddit. Anyways, it's sci-fi. It's on my TBR. No idea what it's about. The other book, again, no idea what it's about. Worldbreaker Saga by Cameron Hurley. The covers, I'm just pulled in by the covers. I get pulled in by the covers for so many books. I usually put a book on my TBR because of its cover, more so than the description. Does that make sense? Like books get put on my TBR because of the cover. I don't know. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. This is why my TBR is miles and miles long. Anyways, these are all of the books that I am hoping to read for the Trans Rights Readathon. I don't think I'm going to be really adding any other books in unless... No, Emily, we are not going to be adding any other books in because this is already a really long list. Okay. If you guys have your own TBRs for the Trans Rights Readathon, please let me know what you're reading because I probably will add all of them to my year-long TBR, not like readathon TBR, but they'll probably be added to my TBR. So let me know what you're reading. Let me know if you are reading any of these books or if you have read any of these books and you really enjoyed it. And if you are participating in the Trans Rights Readathon and you are looking for an organization to support because part of the Trans Rights Readathon is at least uplifting or donating to organizations that help the trans community, I will be posting more information on my page about the organization that I will be supporting, the Okra Project, and this is in part with Read In Magazine's fundraising program, I guess, for the Okra Project, where they are doing a donation match of I can't remember how much money they're doing a donation match for, but the Okra Project is a really great organization. I will put a link to their website down below, and I'm really excited to be supporting their organization during this time. If you are in the Pittsburgh area and would like to support a more local organization, last year I fundraised for Sisters PGH, and this is a Black and trans-led organization here in Pittsburgh that are, I think right now have just opened the Stonewall Inn or the Stonewall something in Pittsburgh, but it's basically free housing for the trans community in Pittsburgh. So this is also a great organization to support locally if you are local to Pittsburgh. And if neither one of these really feels like an organization that you would like to support, I highly encourage you to check out the Trans Rights Readathon Instagram page because they actually have provided a list of a lot of national organizations, specific organizations, or organizations that are like offering specific projects if you would like to, you know, base your donations based on that. And they also have resources for if you would like to find local organizations to you that help the trans community, so that way you can kind of help keep, you know, your money and your support in your local community. Anyways, that's all that I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching this video. Live, laugh, love you all. I live, laugh, love the library. And make sure you follow me on all social platforms so that way you can see all of the information that I am reposting and sharing during this week, and also my book recs, what I think about all these books, you know, just all of the things. I have new videos every weekend if you are interested in that kind of thing. And I have a series on my page, Read With Me, where we're literally just reading at the library. And it's very, very calming, very library ASMR. And it gets my booty to the library. It gets my booty to the library to read, to just sit there and be a body in the library. It's very fun. It's very relaxing. It's one of my favorite things that I do on my page. So that's all. Love you guys, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!